Alexander Isak is training at Real Sociedad with his own staff. I mean, it is so over. His career at Newcastle is so over. Surely all Liverpool need to do now is formalise this entire thing and put in a bid, because it is so clear that Alexander Isak is desperate to sign for Liverpool Football Club. It is so clear that Alexander Isak is going to do everything within his power to sign for Liverpool Football Club. And obviously, there is no secret that Liverpool are huge admirers of him. It was put to us yesterday via a very reputable source that a verbal agreement in principle over a contract running until 2031 has been reached with Liverpool. So it now feels a matter of when, not if. There is no doubt that Alexander Isak wants this move. And do you know what? I give him so much credit for doing everything within his power to make sure that he gets the move. Do you know what a statement it is to go and train on your own, using your own staff, using your former football club's facilities? It is such a marked and poignant statement. It is signifying to everybody that you are done with your former club. Because, correct me if I'm wrong here, rehab should obviously be taking place at your own club. If you are an injured player, surely you tap into the medical assistance of the club that pay your wages, the club that look after you, the physio team within the club that you currently reside. The only reason that you would not be using the rehab team, the rehab department of the club that you are part of, is if you have identified them as a club that you are no longer part of. That can be the only motivation here. He doesn't see them as his own club, and what we can glean from this is that Alexander Isak is doing everything within his power to make this move happen. Now, how you feel about that is a very interesting one. Personally, I commend him. I think it's impressive that Alexander Isak is ready to do anything within his power to make sure that he can join the most powerful club in the country, the best club in the country, the current champions. Alexander Isak is doing everything that he possibly can to make this move happen. I mean, players do often get stuck in contracts that they don't want to be in. And what happens? They end up wasting their career. It can be a disaster for them, for the game. It can be a disaster for football. When you see brilliant players incapable of escaping draconian contracts, it's not a positive thing. It's not something that we want to see. And let's face it, Harry Kane is a great example of this. All of those years that he wasted when he was the best archetypal centre-forward, arguably in Europe, certainly in the country, and he wasted them at Tottenham. He has literally nothing to show for it. Of all of the Premier League goals that Harry Kane has scored, of all of the glorious Premier League goals that Harry Kane has scored, literally none of them contributed to anything. That's what can happen. If you are a brilliant player like Kane, all of those goals, all of those iconic Harry Kane goals, they were ultimately meaningless because they led to nothing. They led to no silverware. They led to literally nothing. And he was part of a great team under Pochettino that achieved nothing. And history is never kind to players who stay. But people aren't kind about Harry Kane for staying at Tottenham. We think he was foolish. We think he made a mistake. Players aren't kind about Matt Letizia for staying at Southampton. We say that he was foolish. We say it was a mistake. And Alexander Isak, to his credit, in my opinion, is not ready to make the same mistake. He has shone in the Premier League. He is undoubtedly, in my opinion, the best player in his position in this country. He is one of the best players in his position in the world. He is capable of becoming the very best in the world. He is capable of winning a Ballon d'Or. And if you look at what he's done since he's been here, he's won silverware. He's demonstrated his brilliance. But now for him, for his own personal development, for his own personal growth, it is time to move on. It is time to join a serious club capable of winning serious trophies. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way to Newcastle United, but he currently doesn't play for a team that is capable of winning the most serious trophy. Liverpool Football Club are that team. And it is so clear to anybody who has any perspective on this situation. The fact that Liverpool are admirers of Alexander Isak, of course he is desperate to sign for them. He will have looked around at Newcastle this window and he would have seen the arrival of Anthony Elanga and he would have seen the arrival of Aaron Ramsdale. And then he would have juxtaposed everything that I've just said there with the arrivals with the players that Newcastle United have missed out on. I mean, they've missed out on Liam Delap. They've missed out on Brian Mbeumo. They've missed out on James Trafford. They've missed out on Mark Gahey. The list goes on. And simultaneously, whilst he's aware of what's going on at Newcastle and this uninspiring, awkward window for them, some of it not being their fault, but that doesn't matter to Isak. PSR issues for Newcastle United are not Isak's problem. Isak would have been looking around at Newcastle and feeling very underwhelmed with what's going on, whilst casting an eye on goings-on at Anfield. He would have been having a look at what has been going on at Anfield, and he would be totally inspired. Florian Wirtz arrives. Hugo Ekitike arrives. Hugo Ekitike arrives at Anfield off the back of potentially signing for Newcastle. It looked like he was going to be a Newcastle United player, but Ekitike thought better of it. Ekitike thought absolutely not. The second that Liverpool demonstrated any kind of interest, the second that Liverpool got involved in that transfer, even though it was a long way down the road that he was going to be a Newcastle United player, Liverpool made a few phone calls, and suddenly Ekitike did everything within his power to make sure that he moved there. So Wirtz arrives, Ekitike arrives, Salah, one of the most iconic footballers to have ever lived, one of the Liverpool true greats of the game, who is still playing. You know, Alexander Isak will be aware of football. The man lives, breathes football. He is football. He will be aware of the brilliance of John Barnes. He'll be aware of the brilliance of Peter Beardsley. He'll be aware of the brilliance of Ian Rush. But he doesn't have the opportunity to play with those. He has the opportunity of playing with a true Liverpool legend. Like, Steven Gerrard is a Liverpool legend, but it's impossible for Alexander Isak to live the dream of playing with him. He can play with a living legend in Mohamed Salah, and he must move now to have that opportunity. He can play with a living legend like Virgil van Dijk, and he must move now to make that happen. So you've seen the glamorous arrivals, the statement signings, the marquee signings of Wirtz and Ekitike. You've then seen the icons sign up, Van Dijk. You've seen the icon Salah sign up, and he's in. And then you see the clever tweaks to the squad. He is looking and he's thinking, God, I could really link up well with Frimpong. I could really make something happen. It would be great for me to be getting on the end of crosses provided by Milos Kerkez. There is a world where I could do wonderful things with that kind of support act. And he will be thinking, I need to make this happen. And let's face it, who wouldn't want to play for Liverpool? I mean, what would it say about Alexander Isak's own ambition if he wasn't training on his own? If he was in Hong Kong at the moment with Newcastle United, totally being a true professional, people would be saying, isn't it commendable that Alexander Isak is doing the right thing? Maybe he wants to leave, maybe Liverpool have caught his eye, maybe he's on Liverpool's radar, but ultimately he's just scored 2 goals for Newcastle United in a pre-season friendly. What would that say about him? People are going to be very snide about him training on his own, using the team that he played for in 2020 to somehow further his move. For the furtherance of his own career, he's using the team that he left. People are going to be very snide about it, but I believe that it shows true ambition. You have to do everything within your power to fulfill your own potential. Ultimately, Alexander Isak needs to do what's best for Alexander Isak, not what's best for Eddie Howe, not what's best for Newcastle United. He needs to do what's best for Alexander Isak, and what is best for Alexander Isak is, obviously, to move to this Liverpool team. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that this move will happen, and he desperately wants it to happen. I mean, what would it say about his ambition if he didn't want to join the champions? Like, think about what Liverpool can offer him. Just think about what he has at Newcastle. Now, let me tell you about what Liverpool can offer him. What's happening, everyone? I'm terribly sorry to interrupt this video, and I really do hope you're enjoying it, but I have something big to tell you. I have started a members section. I've started doing loads and loads of content for my members, for my community, for the most loyal subscribers of this channel. If you fancy becoming part of it, I would love to welcome you in. There are some videos on there already, and we have some brilliant things to come. There's going to be Q&As, there's going to be live streams, there's going to be stuff that is simply exclusive for you. So if you want to be part of it, please do join the members section. To find out more, click the link in the description below, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. The Kop. Think about what that means. Can you imagine being a footballer and hearing your name sung by the Kop? Imagine scoring a goal and being serenaded by one of the most iconic ends in world football. You know, like the beauty of an end. All those big Kops, they mean so much, don't they? And it isn't only here. Like, this is applicable to certain stadiums. The San Siro would be applicable to. It's applicable to certain other stadiums in this country. The Stretford End, for example. In my opinion, the Shed. It's applicable to very certain things. But obviously, the Kop is in a league of its own. Like, I admire the Gallowgate, but it's incomparable to the Kop. So Liverpool can offer him that. Liverpool can also offer him the power of the institution, who Liverpool are and what Liverpool represent. Being a Liverpool player in this era of total dominance that I think we are about to enter into. Like, what would that say? Playing for a club that have a legacy, the most successful team in currently the most successful league, a true European behemoth. Like, he gets to play for them. Like the silverware, it's a guarantee. The silverware is a guarantee. Whether you believe Liverpool will win 1 trophy next year or 4 trophies next year, I am sure that we will all agree that Liverpool will win something next year. Then the icons, not only the icons that are currently playing, the Salah, Van Dijk, but the icons of a bygone era, following in the footsteps of true greats of the game. Roger Hunt, Ian St. John, right the way through to Ian Rush, right the way through to even players like Fernando Torres, who weren't there for that long, Luis Suarez, players that no doubt Alexander Isak would have been inspired by. The adulation and the story of playing for this Liverpool team. Of course he wants to go. And it is so clear to me that he is checked out of Newcastle United. And now, in his head at least, I think he is a Liverpool player. I mean, combine what Liverpool can offer him and then think about why he is in northern Spain, in Sociedad, training on his own. It can only be because he wants to join Liverpool. And like I say, he'd be a fool if he didn't. And do you know what it brings me on to? It brings me on to something that I've wanted to talk to you about. Something quite important. It's the comparisons and the parallels that have been drawn between Alexander Isak and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I've been accused, weirdly, in some of the comments and via social media, which has gone poisonous, about a hypocrisy here. But this issue is something that is very, very important, and I would like to address it. There is a huge discrepancy between the behaviour of Trent Alexander-Arnold and the behaviour of Alexander Isak. There is actually no comparison. Like, there are no double standards from me here, and I now want to talk about this, right? When Trent Alexander-Arnold left Liverpool and did everything within his power to leave Liverpool, I labelled him a traitor. I labelled him a Judas. And the reason why I believe that that is true, if harsh, is worthy of conversation now. Trent Alexander Iscariot is the term that I used. And now I do concede that it's harsh, but I also stand by the point and I stand by the criticism. But if you want to accuse me of being harsh, maybe I could concede that. But if you want to suggest that I am wrong or that I am a hypocrite, you are wrong, I'm afraid. And here is why. There is absolutely no parallels to be drawn between the two players. Trent Alexander-Arnold is a Scouser. Alexander Isak is not a Geordie. Therefore, that has an impact. Trent Alexander-Arnold, as a Scouser, had the opportunity to play for Liverpool, to captain Liverpool, to obviously more glory, to go down as the record appearance holder for Liverpool in the Premier League era, taking that incredibly impressive record away from Jamie Carragher. That was all at Trent Alexander-Arnold's fingertips. None of that stuff is available to Alexander Isak. So it's not comparable in that front. Alexander Isak is joining the champions of the country that he's going to be playing in. Trent Alexander-Arnold literally went to play for Real Madrid, who didn't win the league. So I don't really see there being any overlap. And people constantly trying to have a go at me for saying that Alexander-Arnold was a traitor and labelling him Iscariot, which people seem to think is incredibly cruel. And if it is, maybe I got that one wrong. But I've always called players Judas who move. So it kind of is what it is. Just on this, though, there is no parallel. And I am convinced that I'm correct on that. But do let me know what you think. Isak cannot build a true heritage at Newcastle United. Like, to put it bluntly, for Alexander Isak to fulfil his potential, he needs to move. Alexander-Arnold could easily have fulfilled his potential at Liverpool. Like, Trent Alexander-Arnold apparently has this desperation to be the first right back to win the Ballon d'Or. He could do that at Liverpool. Rodri showed that you do not need to be playing for one of the behemoth clubs in Spain to win a Ballon d'Or. So, anyone that is slamming me for this, I just don't get it. But it is what it is, I suppose. For me, though, Isak simply must go to Liverpool. It's essential for his own ambition, and like I say, it would be weird if he didn't want to go. But from a Newcastle perspective, what Newcastle need to do is block this move. Seriously, for the furtherance of Newcastle, for Newcastle to be the club that they want to be, for Eddie Howe to be the manager that he wants to be, for the PIF to be building in the right direction, they need to do everything within their power to block this move. Do not allow it to happen. You do not really need the money. You should tie Alexander-Arnold down. It would be a travesty for football. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope Alexander Isak gets this move. But from a Newcastle perspective, looking at it strictly through a Newcastle lens, serious football teams do not sell their best players. Newcastle United cannot be the team that they desperately want to become if they allow him to leave. So they need to take the hit on the player, adopt a principle and say he will not leave. There's a good chance that Alexander Isak will play for you again next season. Luka Modric was tied to Tottenham when he didn't want to be. He was going to sign for Chelsea. He desperately wanted to come to Chelsea. He ended up being tied to Tottenham by Daniel Levy, and he had the season of his life. He went to Real Madrid the following season. Levy didn't want to sell to a Premier League rival, and he ultimately got what he wanted. But that is what I think Newcastle should do. I don't think it can happen, but that is what Newcastle should do, because the statement that would be made by losing their best player would perhaps be irreparable. And they desperately need him. They need him in the team. They need him in the squad. Like, he is obviously their best player, but they have lost so many players. I mean, their only recognisable centre forward at the moment is that Osula, which is just ridiculous. You know, Callum Wilson has now left as a free agent, so there is no doubt that they need reinforcements, but from their perspective, this won't happen. But from their perspective, they should do everything they can to keep Alexander Isak. Isak, though, will get the move, and there is no doubt in my mind that he will shine at Liverpool Football Club. It's happening, isn't it? We are moving that way. The fact that he has gone out and made a statement, training on his own. Like, he's apparently got this thigh injury, but he will not be in rehab at Newcastle United. It really is a big statement from him, and I think it's now a question of when, not if. The second that Liverpool light a fire under Newcastle, light the touch paper and put in that bid, that is when this deal will come alive. Let me know your thoughts. Really interesting saga, this really interesting tale. It feels to be one of those protracted, drawn-out transfer sagas that could run and run, but ultimately, Liverpool will get their man. Really interested to hear what you have to say, so comment in the comment section below. And if you're new around here, please do click subscribe. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in a bit. Ta-da!